What's up, Wrestle Geeks? It's Big Mike here with a special edition again of the Countdown City Wrestlecast. As you can see, I'm hosting solo again, but we do have a special guest with us. You have seen him locally at RCW, at Mission Pro, at hybrid wrestling shows. What you may not know is he also has a 2-0 amateur record in real MMA. He has title belts with NAGA, the North American Grappling Association, as well as titles with New Breed Jiu-Jitsu. He is the black belt. He is Jesse James. Thank you for joining us.
Hey, glad to have it. Glad to be here. Thank you for the intro. That was dope.
Excellent. I've really gotten into those. So where we like to start with these, just kind of talking about you, is really where you grew up and when wrestling first comes into your life.
I grew up in San Antonio. I was born in Fairfield, California, but I was raised in San Antonio. I came here at 4 years old. My dad was in the military. I started watching wrestling as early as I can remember with the Mega Powers and Hulkamania and Ultimate Warrior back then. And my favorite wrestler, even back then, was Macho Man Randy Savage, repping.
Nice.
And yeah, even when Savage turned heel after the Mega Powers, I still liked Savage because I felt like he reminded me a lot of my dad. My dad would he was very blind, so like when me and my brother would I guess stay up all night, he would like storm out and he would have like the squinty eyes, like the madness eyes that Macho Man would have because he didn't have his glasses on, and he would like yell at us. So it reminded me of my dad when Macho Man would go into that madness mode and he would snap. Yeah. So I guess that's why I really resonated with Macho Man. I love Macho Man ever since then.
That's awesome. I'm right there with you.
Mm-hmm.
Do you stay into wrestling as you get older? Is there ever a time where it kind of go away from a bit, or people at school are like, "Oh, you're watching wrestling," or do you just stick with it?
That's funny. Exactly. Yeah. I grew up wrestling in the 90s with the Attitude Era and stuff when it was really big. And then after the Attitude Era, like when I started growing up in high school, people started realizing wrestling was fake. So it became like, like a clown show. And, I kind of stopped watching it out of peer pressure, but I kind of still kept up with it, but it kind of under wraps. But, like I didn't let anyone know I watched wrestling in high school until, I kind of got back into it in college.
Cool.
With John Cena and everything.
Yeah. And so you have legitimate martial arts background.
Yes.
I assume you get into that first before you start wrestling training, or what's the sequence of that kind of stuff?
Well, for me personally, I got into martial arts first. Like I said, I was a 90s kid. I grew up with Power Rangers. I always loved Van Damme movies, Bruce Lee, Jackie Chan, all that. But I grew up in a bad neighborhood too. And I got beat up in middle school. I actually got jumped in high school, and that was the catalyst. That was like the last, straw that broke the camel's back, if you will, that made me want to join martial arts. And the closest martial arts in my town was, or where I grew up, was a Muay Thai gym called Shadow Fist Dojo under Kufet and Kuvong. And Muay Thai this was like around 2007. So Muay Thai wasn't like, it was known, but it wasn't really, widely available as MMA is today.
Right.
So yeah, that was pretty cool. Learning Muay Thai, I learned how to kickbox. And from then I had a smoker Muay Thai fight. It's an amateur fight. I went 1-0, and a lot of my guys that were training Muay Thai with me started doing jiu-jitsu as well. So they said, join jiu-jitsu because you got to learn grappling and all that. So I started BTT when I was in 2012 when I was in college, and I've been training jiu-jitsu for about 11 years, Muay Thai about 16 years.
Wow.
Mm-hmm.
Cool. So you do that. It seems like you're having matches or in tournaments and things like that. When does the wrestling training pop up? When does that start becoming something that you look to pursue?
Well, actually, I got into wrestling from my fiance Jalen Blunt. She was She was actually hired as like a ring girl, or not a ring girl, but an announcer for Galactic Pro Wrestling. This was like
Oh, right.
pre-pandemic, 2018, 2019, and I just stopped fighting MMA fighting from when I met her. I stopped fighting because my going into my third fight, I tore a muscle in my bicep. I'll actually kind of show y'all. It's like it's I tore it during the training session, and it's never been the same. Like it kind of flops down. I don't know if you can see it from this angle, but
Yeah.
when I tore my bicep, I took a break from MMA fighting. I actually haven't fought since because it was like a long rehabilitation process, and I didn't have health insurance or medical insurance or anything like that.
Right.
So when I saw her doing her announcing thing, it kind of ignited my love for wrestling, and I kind of saw a community here in San Antonio of like local indie professional wrestling.
Right.
So I started talking to the promoter at Galactic Pro Wrestling, and he told me to train at the Hybrid School of Wrestling. And as soon as he mentioned Sho Funaki, I recognized Funaki from
Of
Kaien's High
course.
Days, Attitude Era. So I was like kind of sold. And then I met Chris Marvel and all the guys that run the gym. And it's like a very family friendly and
Mhm.
ass kicking gym. So from there, it's been history.
Yeah. Galactic Pro, is that Paul? Was that Paul London? Was that his promotion, if I remember correctly, or am I misremembering?
He probably wrestled for there, but the guy that owned the promotion was called Rudy Russo.
Oh yeah, Rudy. You're right. Okay,
Yeah.
sure, sure. Uh, if one of our other members, Tommy, was with us, unfortunately, he couldn't be here. He knows everybody. You may be the first interview we have that I don't think has gotten into anything with him yet.
All right.
But there's still time because he usually gets on everybody's nerves at some point. But yeah, but I remember hearing about them. I don't think I was ever able to make it out to any of their shows. But that's pretty cool. So,
Yeah.
what year, like around what time did you start trading at Hybrid?
This probably 2019, summer 2019. I was there for 6 months, and then COVID hit, so the school had to shut down for like another 6 months. And when the school back opened back up, I graduated because I was still training and everything, and
Right.
I still retained a lot of that muscle memory. And I graduated from hybrid, I think January 20, not January 20, 2021, I believe, January 2021. And then from there, I've been wrestling indie shows since.
Right. And it's kind of interesting because we've done two other interviews previously, both with people you should know, Jasmine Allure and Casey Blackrose, and
Hmm.
both of them very similar stories of starting only a couple years ago and having that time of COVID taken away from them very early. So you're still training while that's going on. What is that like when you're in the middle of this? You're feeling good, and then you just can't for almost a year or whatever it was. What was that like kind of having to, in the middle of your training, stop or not
For
be
me
able?
personally, it was a little bittersweet, I guess. I mean, I'm the kind of guy that looks at both sides of the spectrum. I mean, it sucks, having that taken away from you, but at the same time, it was a much needed, I guess, rest of the grind, the daily grind, especially because I do jujitsu and Muay Thai on top of the wrestling training. So for
Right.
me, I was all for a vacation, but it still kind of sucks. Like just learning, you kind of forget what you learned, and then you got to pick it all back up. But I was fine with it, but at the same time, I was kind of irritated.
Yeah, yeah, of course.
Hmm.
So you go back. You said you finish your training, you graduate. Do
Hmm.
you remember? Or I'm sure you do, but who do you have your first indie show as a wrestler? Like who did you get your first match in with?
Well, besides the hybrid house show, I guess my first actual show was with Galactic Pro Wrestling with Rudy Russo's promotion,
Okay.
and he did a lot of his shows at a farm called the Shatten Bowl, which was like in Castroville.
Right,
So
right.
in Castroville was my first show with them.
Cool, cool. And then I know recently, my first time seeing you personally was at Mission Pro. I think as far back as last April. I think that was Living on the Edge. That was the first show I attended. You've been a pretty regular mainstay there. I've been to the two recent hybrid shows. You were just on RCW Mania last weekend.
Yep.
So you've been hitting a lot of the local shows. What's it like working with that group out of hybrid? There's a lot of you that are on a lot of shows together. Um, Tagging and facing each other. What's it like kind of being with that group as y'all go around the local scene?
Oh man, uh, if I could wrestle a hybrid guy for the rest of my life, I'd be content. Like I feel like very confident. I'm putting on a banger of a show if I'm wrestling, one of my colleagues at a hybrid because we got a lot to work on and we trust each other. We got a lot of time to do it, so we could pull out all the stops, if you will, as opposed to someone I don't really know. The
Right.
trust might not be there, the match might not be as good. So yeah, I love working with hybrid, and hybrid has provided me a lot of opportunities. So I'm blessed to be with them.
Yeah. Have you worked any promotions outside of those local ones, RCW, Mission Pro? I know Galactic Pro you said when you got started, but I don't believe they're going anymore. Have
Mhm.
you gone with any other promotions in the area or even outside the San Antonio area?
Yeah, actually, a lot of the hybrid guys, when we travel outside of San Antonio, we call ourselves the Marauders, and we've been wrestling for this show called 936 Wrestling USWX, based out of like Cold Spring area. It's out in the country near Dallas,
Okay.
Denton, if you will.
Yeah.
And we've been there at least 3 times in the past 2 years, and they've been itching to have us back. Casey Blackrose is actually their champion,
Oh
and he
wow.
hasn't lost it yet. But I don't know if they had an interim because we haven't been there for a while. But he's
Mm,
their champion. A guy that used to wrestle with us named Chip Garrison, he was like their intercontinental champion.
yeah.
But he kind of I don't know if he's still wrestling, but he's not training at the moment. So yeah, I can't wait to get back to the 936 USWX. But other than them, huh? I can't say I really worked anywhere else outside San Antonio now that I think about it.
Okay.
Mhm.
In your time in those shows here or over there, is there anybody you've been in the ring with that you kind of had to stop yourself and say, wow, like I can't believe I'm in a match with this person, or someone that you had known previously, and now you're in the ring with them, or even sharing a locker room at the shows. Are there any of those that you've had over that time?
Oh yeah, well, I mean, all the people that come and go from RCWs, I'm always Star Trek. But I actually had a tag match. I was tagging with Weston Blake.
Oh,
I think last year, me and Weston Blake versus the guys at the Gulf Coast Connection, Josh Galvan and
okay,
Benny
yeah,
Dreams. I tagged with them at the mall show called the Wrestle. Forgot it. The mall, the one at Rolling Oaks Mall, the
wrestling store.
Wrestling store. It was wrestling store. Damn, I was
They
getting
do little
called.
matches in there, right?
Yeah, I did a
Yeah,
match with Weston Blake. Me and Weston Blake tagged against the Gulf Coast, and it was awesome. It was a great match. It was a pleasure working with Weston Blake. He's such a nice guy, and we did this cool spot where I stood on his shoulders from the turnbuckles, and he like kind of threw me off, and I splashed Josh Galvan. And
oh,
I got some
nice.
mad airtime, and that was a pretty cool spot. I liked it a lot. I liked that match a lot. Actually, it was a good match. I felt like a hero.
That sounds really cool.
Yeah.
And I know also you mentioned with hybrid, and you've seen a lot of guys that came through RCW as well. I know hybrid brings in a lot of people for seminars, a lot of well-known wrestlers and older ones that come through. Is there any seminars you experienced where you were there, kind of similar, where you were like, "This is really awesome to be learning under them," or to hear them and get their advice and stuff?
Hmm. Mm. Uh, yeah, there's a lot of people that came through hybrid. I'm trying to think right now because there's so many. So we done Primo and Epico. I remember that was like kind of the first time I saw WWE guys in a hybrid building.
Right.
They've done Christian Cage before, but I think I had to miss that one, and I was bummed I had to
Mm,
miss that one.
yeah.
Um, but yeah, I would say maybe Primo and Epico as far as WWE guys are concerned. They also did one with Miss Madness. What's her name?
Some from way back in WCW.
Yeah, WCW Miss Madness.
Was that Molly Holly?
Molly Holly.
Yeah,
Yes,
yeah,
yes. Thank you,
yeah.
Molly Holly.
Of course.
And I was kind of starstruck with that because I was a big Macho Man
Sure.
fan. So I remember seeing her as a kid. But
Yeah.
yeah, that was a good seminar too.
Yeah. I've heard she's just one of the nicest and sweetest
Oh yeah,
people you'd ever meet.
Yeah, she's very nice. She gave us a lot of good info on making it through the business, like the business side of it, and
Right.
the political side. And she gave us all free signed 8x10, so that was dope too.
Oh, nice. That's
Yeah,
awesome.
yeah.
So locally, like we said, you've been a pretty regular person showing up on Mission Pro, RCW Hybrid. At the last Hybrid show, you were in the tag match with a couple of kids making their debut, if
Hmm.
I remember correctly. What's that kind of like? Having those hybrid kids kind of be their first real match in there, and you being along in that tag team that kind of gets them through that. What was that like for you?
Oh, that was a definitely a new experience for me because I'm usually the green guy, the new guy, and they told me like, hey, you gotta work with the green guys and kind of like dictate the match and kind of take over. And that was kind of a new experience to me, but I feel like the match went really well and they listened really well and it was cool. It was cool. I liked it. Everything went really well. I was happy with that match.
Yeah.
Hmm.
And I really enjoy like even in that match, the character you have, the interaction with the crowd.
Yeah.
How is that kind of learning to kind of get your character? And obviously, it's very rooted in your martial arts background. What is that like? How easy is it for you to interact with the fans and kind of feel comfortable with all that part of it?
That was actually something I had to learn and work on. My first couple matches, I was silent, and I could feel like the crowd wasn't into it because I wasn't silent. So that's something I had to, pander more to the crowd. Talk to them, talk shit to them if I'm a bad guy, if I'm a good guy. Appeal to them emotionally, reach out for them. That's something
Right.
I really had to pick up, and a lot of it helped when I started doing the os saying, which is a martial arts like kia term, but
Yeah.
everyone started picking up at the us thing. That kind of got over with the crowd. So that was kind of my connection with them. But yeah,
Yeah.
pandering to the crowd, that's something I really had to work on. And I love it to this day. It really elevates me. Like it helps me get over the nerves. It like makes me get into it and makes them get into it. So I'm going to keep on doing it because I like it.
Right. That's awesome. In
Yeah.
fact, I think was it the last Mission Pro where you teamed with David Kidd? And I think it was when you were kind of trying to get him to stay under control and focus, uh,
Hmm.
all of that young energy. That was a very entertaining match. And like I said, you hybrid guys, always kill it on all your shows.
Thank
Um,
you.
and you talked about loving to work with them and wanting to work with them the rest of your career. And I think
Hmm.
you can see it because like you guys just always kill it with each other. Y'all have fun. Y'all do really amazing stuff, and it seems like y'all really trust each other.
Hell yeah, exactly, exactly. I love working with the hybrid guys. It puts my mind at ease if I see me next to a hybrid guy in the car.
Right.
Hmm.
And at RCW Mania last week, and unfortunately, due to an emergency of the family, I wasn't able to make it. But you faced off with Stud Stash, and from what I understand, he used some nefarious means
Yeah.
to get the victory. Do you see more down the road with him? Is that not done, or
Oh, definitely unfinished. To them, they might think it's finished, but to me, I still got a bone to pick with both those guys, and I would like to wrestle either one in the future. Rob Love
yeah?
or Stud Stash. Even if he brings me on to United 210, I'd like to take him on. So we'll see where that goes. But I'm not worried about it. Whoever they throw my way, I'll focus
Excellent. I love that.
on.
Um, so kind of finishing up here, what do you see as your what I guess like in the next 5 years, what would you like to be doing accomplished with the wrestling? And where would you like to maybe go and venture out to?
Next 5 years, I would like to win a title in wrestling. That's on a to-do list. I would like to keep training on hybrid. We'll see where that goes. And who knows, maybe AEW Dark. Who knows? I'm trying to keep it realistic, but I'm just here to ride the wave. If I keep doing this in the next 5 years, I'd be content too because everything's going well for me.
That's cool. And did you say you're actually part of the training at Hybrid too? Do you help with the younger classes as well?
Um, yeah, yes, yeah, yeah. I mean, I'll help like the new students if they have questions about anything, but I'm not like the main like his trainer. That's
Yeah.
Brandon Weiss and Diego Renee's territory. I don't want to
Okay.
step on
Yeah.
their
Yeah.
toes. But
Sure.
if
Sure.
anyone has a question, I'd be more than happy to help.
Right. Right. And again, you
Hmm.
talk about that family y'all seem to have there. I'm sure
Hmm.
y'all are all willing to help each other out.
Of course, of course.
Yeah. Well, before we get going, is there anything else you would like to say or share as we go and finish up?
Um, be on the lookout for the next hybrid experience. I believe it's April. Shit, I'm gonna catch my days.
29th, I believe. That's
April
Hybrid Mania.
29th.
It's Hybrid
Yeah,
Mania, right? Yeah,
yeah,
yeah, yeah.
Hybrid Mania. Yeah, and then before that, Pro Wrestling Element is April 23rd,
Oh, you're
and
on that show?
before, yes, I believe
Oh,
I'm on
excellent.
that show. I might be on the undercard. Um, and before that, I will be doing competing in jiu-jitsu for my fourth jiu-jitsu title if I win it, God willing. So yeah, be on the lookout. I might have some new bling at the Hybrid Experience, RCW Mania. I mean, not RCW
Very,
Mania, Hybrid Mania.
yeah, very nice. You are
Hmm.
you are busy and in a few things, the wrestling, the Muay Thai, and the Jiu-Jitsu. That seems really cool.
Thank
Well,
you.
Jesse, we appreciate your time. Thank you for joining us.
Thank you for
Uh,
having me.
Appreciate it, guys. That's all we got for today. Thank you very much. And
Hmm.
we will finish the way we always finish our podcast, which most of our people we've interviewed don't know that finish, but I will go ahead. Guys, I have been Big Mike, and always remember pro wrestling is real. People are fake. Boom.
True.
Thank
Well,
you, guys.
thank you.